Hello everyone, FPL Nous here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a Game Week 2 early preview video, but before we dive in, let's quickly look at how my Game Week 1 went. Please take a moment to subscribe, share and like my content and follow me on all my socials at FPL Nous so you don't miss out on all the content I have lined up to help you make better decisions and get those green arrows. So in Game Week 1, I used my bench boost chip, which ended up being fairly disappointing with an 11-pointer. But my starting 11 did really well, and even without the bench boost chip, I would have scored 53 points, which would have still put me ahead of the game week average. So for anyone listening, my keeper combinations were Kelleher and Verbruggen with a 7 and 6-pointer respectively. In defence, Ballard, Maguire, and Diop were all disappointing with no returns or defcons, while Tarkowski got a 6-pointer and narrowly missed out on the defcon threshold, and Kayode with a massive 13-pointer. In midfield, Zolis was the only midfielder with a return. In Mbeumo, Gross and Semenyo all blanked, while Caicedo missed out with an injury. That was quite painful as I had Sangaré all week and only switched to Caicedo at the end because he had more minutes reliability, and he's also a defcon beast. The attack was predominantly underwhelming with Isak and Haaland blanking and only João Pedro returning an 11-pointer. All in all, it wasn't a bad game week, but with Haaland missing gilt-edged chances, and Isak looking very out of depth and rusty, it makes it look once again that the midfield might be where to invest in. Key to note that on another day, Mbeumo could have returned as he had the most touches in the opposition half and took the most shots with an XG of 0.73 and missed one big chance. So I don't think it should be panic stations yet, and he should be transferred out for Rodgers or Szoboszlai. His fixtures still look very decent, but we won't dive into that till we move into the team select, which will be another video, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Gross was also unlucky to blank as he created the most chances against Villa. Haaland and Isak all missed big chances, so I'd say be patient and stick with them for now, rather than knee-jerk based on just Game Week 1. You pick them for a reason, and it's best to wait and see for about a couple more game weeks to get more insights and watch how they perform and play, rather than quickly use your wildcard and disrupt your team. Having said that, some key takeaways from Game Week 1 are that we might have overlooked the Chelsea attack a lot more than we should have, and the Game Week 3 fixture versus Arsenal shouldn't have deterred us from owning them. Palmer especially looks like he could be back to the form that saw him almost score 250 points in the 2023-2024 season. Looking at their next 5 fixtures from Game Week 2, Chelsea face Brighton, Arsenal, Hull, Brentford and Bournemouth, and those are all fixtures you would have backed the Chelsea attack to score, including perhaps the Arsenal game. If I had Bruno Fernandes, I would easily be looking at downgrading him to Palmer as they both offer same points potential long-term. Both are penalty and set-piece takers, but Palmer costs 2.5 million less, and won't play in as many competitions as Bruno this season. Plus, he has had the summer off, so should be fresher and more ready to go. It's a move I would be looking at after Bruno has faced Ipswich in Game Week 2 though, so Bruno is still a hold for this game week. Another tactical shift could be going with a 2-striker formation and 5 midfielders, as it looks like there is so much value in midfield with Sangaré, Saka, Rodgers and Szoboszlai, all offering potentially more points than their similarly priced striker counterparts. It's something to keep an eye on as the season unfolds. Again, one game week isn't enough to rip off one's team and do a drastic overhaul. But if you are an Isak and Bruno owner, they would be on my potential red list of players to offload. Some teams look very vulnerable, however, due to severe squad depletion, Villa and Fulham in particular. And Spurs are still slightly decimated with injuries and have the same defensive vulnerability, despite the raft of new signings. Newcastle look open as well, and I wouldn't get carried away with their performance versus Liverpool. Something to monitor and see what happens with them. Looking ahead to Game Week 2, Villa look very vulnerable, and managers with Arsenal assets should consider captaining the ones they own, as these are the opportunities that present themselves to have quick rank gains. I wouldn't say managers with United assets should ditch all of them, but if you are on double United defence, it doesn't look like a ploy that could pay off long term, and I would be looking to trim it down to just one or none at all from the United defence. I'd go as far as saying, Mbeumo is a keep till Game Week 15, except he gets injured or his form drops off massively. The next 5 fixtures for United are Ipswich, Everton, City, Fulham and Spurs, and the only fixture that he looks like he could blank in is perhaps the Everton away game. He was unlucky to blank against Hull, and I wouldn't judge him off just that one game. One more issue many managers could be scrambling to fix is their keeper combination of Kinski and Verbruggen. Brighton faced Chelsea this game week, and despite how Brighton have been a bogey team to Chelsea in their last 5 meeting, I would still back the Chelsea attack to score, so Verbruggen could potentially blank, and as we can see with Kinski and Spurs, they still look defensively suspect, so the likelihood of a clean sheet still looks bleak. I'm not saying managers should start making keeper transfer plans, but with the abundance of funds available this season, it would have been good for managers to have a good keeper rotation. Verbruggen rotates nicely with Trafford, and you can rotate them up to Game Week 12 and have these fixtures. Coventry looked dismal, and Hull, having been buoyed by their win versus United, I wouldn't be so enthusiastic about using my bench boost of triple Coventry, as it could well and easily backfire. There are no standout fixtures that look appealing for the triple captain chip, so I would be looking at still keeping it. The only fixture that might be worth the chip is the United versus Ipswich game. Lastly, remember that FPL is a marathon and not a sprint, so don't panic and make hasty decisions like getting Hinshaw Wood or buying Hull defenders because they all had returns versus United. Perhaps they might be the value 4 million picks we were looking for, rather than the ones from Ipswich and Coventry that we almost all have. Don't knee jerk, but try to get as many points on the board as possible. Don't play against the effective ownership of assets like João Pedro, as not owning them will keep your rank going down. There will be massive swings in the first 5 game weeks as, for example, Haaland and Bruno blanked, and they were the most captained assets which impacted on the game week average score. A lot of teams have been set up with one of them missing, and if one or the other blanks or returns, the swings would be very massive. Remember to plan your future transfers. I use Plan FPL to see how my team structure looks ahead, and I have set up my team in a way that allows me own double City attack when they face Coventry in game week 3, and prepared to own double Chelsea attack in game week 4 when they face Hull. There will be fixture swings in game week 5 as well after the international break, so I wouldn't advise using your wildcard right now. The best approach is to wait and see. Liverpool, United and other clubs are still being linked with transfers that could bolster their squads and throw up interesting options like the example of Konza to Arsenal. That's my game week 2 early preview. I would be dropping a series of shorts looking at the best assets to own for game week 2, best captaincy options, and my top 5 differentials for the game week. Check out my tier list video here to know what I think of a lot of the most owned assets and the ones I would avoid, the hidden gems and the season keepers. Remember to subscribe, like and share my content. Follow me on all socials at Nous. May our arrows keep being green. Cheers.